We're doing a strawberry lemon tart. This is one of my favorite recipes. I hope you love it as much as I do. So we're going to start with the crust, right? And we're going to put in 3/4 of a cup of almonds.
Those are walnuts.
Those are walnuts. Sorry, walnuts. You can also use almonds. It also says that. You can use a lot of combinations of nuts for this. This is a 1/2 cup measuring, so I'm going to use half of this half. So we're giving you 3/4 of a cup of almonds. That's where we start. Next thing we're going to do is 1/3 of a cup of shredded coconut. Fill that up, 3/4 of a cup, right, and in there. The next thing says 1/4 of a cup, of hemp seeds. Instead of hemp seeds, I'm going to put sesame seeds just to show you can use a whole variety of different nuts and seeds for this. It's really kind of simple that way. We're also going to do 1/4 of a cup of raisins. Right, so I'm going to put that in. Also, a tablespoon of flax, 1/2 cup of dates. There we are. This little cup is 1/2 cup, so we'll spread these out a little bit in this so that they don't all glom together, which they shouldn't. The recipe also calls for some water, and I don't put that in at first. I only put it in if I absolutely need it. Okay, here's another strange thing. Just a little bit of salt. It makes the flavors come alive. So I'm going to go over and process this in the food processor. It's just going to take me a moment. What's important about this section is that you pulse and not, let it run. Otherwise, the walnuts get real oily, and we don't want that. We want them just to be all broken down, just into a crumbly mixture. The key is, to test it, is to pick it up and try to squeeze it together. If it holds together, that's great. If it doesn't hold together, add a little bit of water, 1 tablespoon at a time. Do the pulsing again, 2 or 3 pulses, and then we'll put it into the pie crust, and I'll show you how to do that. All right, so we're back again after pulsing, and I just want to show you how this sticks together, right? Kind of forms a little bit of a ball if you wanted it to. Pour this into the pie plate. Spread this out so it's nice and even, right? Spread it out throughout, and then begin to press it from the center. And you're going to press it out to the sides, right, in kind of an even way. You're going to get it more and more so it comes up the side, right? And it presses together. You don't need to oil this dish or anything. It's gonna come right together, and it sticks together. I'm going to show you how to press the sides, right? And just turn the plate as you go along. You probably noticed if you made the Rice Krispie treats that the edges of it, right, didn't hang together very well, but you want to modify that with this one. Make sure that all the edges, all the bottom, all of it gets pressed, so that it all holds together when we put the ingredients on top. Okay, simple as that. That's our pie crust. That's done. Set this aside because we're going to work next on the filling. And the first part of the filling is what I call a lemon curd. I adapted this recipe from several that I found, but I never found a recipe like this, and so I created this one. All right, that's why it doesn't have any recognition of where'd you get this recipe from. This is one of my own. This is going to take some cashews, and I have the cashews soaking. The longer they soak, the creamier the texture of this is, and you want this, obviously, right, to be your lemon curd. You want it to be nice and creamy. The next ingredient I'm going to use is a young coconut. I don't use very many of these, right? I know they come from a big distance. They come from the tropics. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to get into a young coconut. One thing you need is some big cleaver. This is mine, and I adore this knife. Tools to me are everything in the kitchen. Okay, so I'm cleavering through this and then taking this part of the skin off, because underneath this is a nut. And the nut holds water and meat. Now, some people call that milk, but that's not coconut milk. That is coconut water. The closest thing I've seen to the fresh coconut water is the one that is pink. Anyway, I generally don't buy that too much packaging. This has its own packaging, and we've also been able to compost some of this that we're taking off right now, this husk. Okay, all right, so we've got our husk off, we'll put it in the compost, and then what we're going to do is we're going to smash this open. So I take the other end of the knife, not the sharp end, and I just hit this around this. You see this little cross in the center there, and you hit it around that cross. And it's going to open up. All right, now that should come up. There it is. Okay. Beautiful. So what I smashed through was the nut. Yes? And you can see at the top here is this young coconut meat. And that's what we're after in this recipe. However, we're also very much after, do you want to get a glass? We're very much after the water in this because the water in this young coconut is, it's so ridiculously delicious. Okay, so that's what the water looks like. And then what is left in this nut that's underneath this is the meat. This is what the Polynesians call spoon meat. This spoon meat, we need 1/4 cup of it, I believe. It's called fresh young coconut meat, and that's what that is. We need 1/4 cup of it. Here's 1/4 cup. And we're going to put this into the blender. And so you can just spoon this right out of the middle of this, right? Now, you can substitute other ingredients for this, or I'm going to put it in the measuring cup. One of the ingredients that is often substituted because we don't, most people don't know how to gather this, is coconut oil. All right, that's about 1/4 cup for us, and we'll put that into the blender. The next thing we're going to put in are our cashews that have been being soaked. So I need to get a strainer and strain the water out of the coconuts. Sorry, thanks. Strain the water out of the cashews. We want to rinse this too, especially if it's been soaking for a long time. I'm going to pour that off once again, and then put the cashews into the blender as well. So cashews are another ingredient that we use sparingly. It's a high-fat ingredient, so we don't do too much of it. They do supply a wealth of vitamins and minerals and creaminess. That's what vegans absolutely love, and plant-based people love about cashews, is they have this creaminess. The next thing we're going to put in is 1/4 cup of lemon juice. I didn't have enough lemon juice for all of it, so I used some lemon juice. Do with what you have. A couple tablespoons of water, again, as necessary. It says use the zest of a large lemon. And what I have done instead of scraping it, I'll show you how to scrape the zest off of for the recipe later, but just to use, I just pared it off so it's in little pieces. And since this is going to be blended, right, until it's smooth as silk, we can use the lemon zest that way. 3 to 4 dates go in this. One of them was small, we said, so we put in the extra. Again, it says a pinch of salt, so not too much. And you could also put in a little bit of turmeric if you like that for color. What we're going to do now is go over and blend this. I will add water as needed to make the blender go. I'm going to use the lemon water, the coconut water, I mean, just regular water. So I blended that. I ended up using quite a bit more water than I had originally anticipated. Use a little bit more of the coconut milk, the coconut meat. And then finally came up with this really creamy and smooth curd is what I call it. It's really a cream. I'm pouring this out of the container. So I ended up using some of the coconut water for this, adding a little bit of coconut water to this. And the other thing, because I love to taste as I go, and what I added also was a little bit more of the lemon zest. So I didn't have too much of the lemon zest. So what I did was I added some of this lemon peel granules. I get those at the natural food store, and that is so great because it offsets the sweetness of the strawberries on top. Also, I'm using strawberries because they're in season, but you can use any fruits on this. You could use a whole combination of fruits if you wanted to on this. Trying not to salivate here. All right, so I'm going to spread this out and then refrigerate this. And it's going to harden up. The next part of this recipe is the strawberry jam topping, I call it. Right, so we're actually going to put this into the food processor. And I didn't clean out the food processor because you don't need to, right? It's got all the same ingredients. 2.5 cups of strawberries that have been hulled and cut in half. We need 3 more tablespoons of lemon juice. Here we are. 1/4 cup of dates. So here we are. These are pitted medjool, our favorites. 1 teaspoon of zest. Now I don't want to do the zest as I did it before because this is not going to be chopped up as fine. It's not going to be blended like the other one was. So instead, we'll take this zester, right? This is a grater that's very fine, right? And we'll rub the peel of the lemon on it. And then what comes out is this really flavorful part of the lemon. Be sure that you're using organic when you're using the zest. We love not to put any pesticides on our food. So if you don't have a zester or you don't, your peel is just not, like I said, it is just not yielding enough, then you can use the granules. I'll show you that in just a moment. But I'm also putting some lime zest in here just because we used lime juice also, as I didn't have enough lemons. It's all fine, right? You can substitute fairly easily with these sorts of recipes. Ooh, it has a lovely greenery too. We can also add a little bit of this lemon peel granules. And they're organic and they're from Natural Grocer. I'm just going to sprinkle those in just a little bit, sprinkle them around. Right, and so I'm going to process this. I'm going to pulse this again, right, and until the mixture looks like jam. So here we are with this jam type, but you can see how it's still a little bit chunky. It doesn't hold together very much right now, but it will after it's chilled. All right, so we're going to chill that pie crust with the lemon curd in it. Then we're going to pour this on top. I'm going to pour it into a container just to keep it aside for a few minutes. And after that chills, it's going to take about an hour for that to chill. And then there's a crumb topping that goes on the very top. A few more walnuts in the food processor, right? Clean out the food processor. A few more walnuts pulsed in the food processor with some dates, and we'll just sprinkle that on the very top, right? To make this really special and delicious strawberry lemon tart. All right, hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you in class.